Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Ripple has backed out of a major acquisition that it announced just a few weeks ago. They were set to buy Fortress Trust, which specializes in custody of cryptocurrency, among other things. And it's been a bit interesting because the news was made public by Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse, and I'll show you what he wrote, but there's no explanation whatsoever. So for most of the day, people in our community and throughout crypto have just been kind of scratching their heads going, what actually happened behind the scenes? We've gotten a little bit closer to the truth. Take a look at this headline from Decrypt. Fortress CEO responds to Ripple backing out of acquisition. So there you go. The CEO of the firm Fortress, which was going to be acquired by Ripple, has spoken out. So we actually do have some additional information, which is less well known. And by the way, and I found this to be incredibly fascinating, Fortress was victim of a hack, and Ripple, and presumably because they were, at the time anyway, intending to purchase Fortress, they actually put up $15 million to make Fortress's customers whole. Ripple did that, and then just weeks later they changed their minds after having given them $15 million. It's crazy stuff here. Also, there's this headline from the Crypto Basic. XRPL-based app Spin the Bits wins Ripple CBDC Innovate competition back-to-back. And I think that's fantastic. I'm all about Spin the Bits. I wish them nothing but the best because it helps to ensure the long-term viability of Bitcoin and also XRP. It does both, actually. And then there's also this from Cointelegraph. Judge denies final pre-trial request from Sam Bankman-Fried for temporary release. And folks, this case is coming up next week. It's finally here, a little bit less than a year after FTX imploded because it was found to be an outright Ponzi scheme. The trial's about to start, so expect lots of coverage in crypto just in general, and I'll be happy to cover it along the way. I hope this guy ends up in prison for a very, very, very long time, decades at a minimum. We'll see what happens, though. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I'm not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so as far as this major acquisition, the news broke September 8th. Here is a headline from Business Wire. Leading enterprise crypto company Ripple acquires Fortress Trust. And there are some general statements made, and we were kind of speculating about what the benefits could potentially be since we don't know how all the sausage is made and we're not behind the scenes in the talks or anything like this, but it did seem at a minimum just from the outside looking in that it could be a very complementary business arrangement. Well, obviously that's why Ripple actually went so far as to publicly state yes, they intended to purchase this firm. And don't forget, just months ago, Ripple bought for, I think it was $250 million, if I'm not mistaken, a firm called Medico, also, which specializes in custody of cryptocurrencies. So, and custody is a crucial aspect of all of this. I mean, because you understand what Ripple's doing in creating what they call the Internet of Value. It's the idea of just making value, things of value, money included, of course, move around the internet as quickly as information, data, moves around today. And this is one of the stumbling blocks because when it comes to crypto, given that this is a key component of this, I mean, especially if you're talking about XRP as a bridge currency, somebody's got to be holding this, right? Well, custody is of the utmost importance. And so this leads us to today. Crypto company Ripple backs out of Fortress Trust purchase. And this is from Bloomberg. Actually, you know what? I take it back. Let me share with you Brad Garlinghouse's exact post from X. It's on your screen right now, and then I'm going to hop back to the article. I'm going to do it in this order. So here's what Brad Garlinghouse posted, and it told us what was happening, but not why. So he said, a few weeks ago, we signed a letter of intent to acquire Fortress Trust. We've since made the decision not to move forward with an outright acquisition, though Ripple will remain an investor in Fortress. The Fortress team is incredibly talented and has built products solving real customer problems. While this outcome is different from what was originally planned, we'll continue to support them and hope to work together in the future. Okay, and so it doesn't sound like something completely disastrous happened, or else I don't think what Brad Garlinghouse posted here would sound nearly as rosy. And so let's jump into the Bloomberg article now. Ripple will remain an investor in Fortress Financial Technologies, the parent of the Nevada-based Chartered Trust Company, Garlinghouse said in the post on X. Ripple said on September 8th that it intended to acquire Fortress Trust, which also provides wallets and payment services. 4 days later, and check this out, this is wild stuff, Fortune published a story saying that Fortress Trust had lost between $12 to $15 million in crypto in a recent hack. The story quoted Scott Purcell, founder and CEO of Fortress Trust, saying only 4 customers out of 225,000 customers were affected. In a text message to Bloomberg, Purcell said a third-party service had experienced a security breach, but that his company had not itself been hacked, and that 6 out of Fortress's 250,000 plus customers used it to log into their accounts. The hackers stole $15 million from those accounts, according to Purcell. Ripple wired, and check this out, and this is why this is wild, because look at what Ripple did, and then just weeks later, like, never mind. Ripple wired in $15 million so we could do the right thing and make those accounts whole. 0 customer impact or losses, he added. Ripple may have to wait to get that $15 million back, Purcell said. At some point, we will pay them back, likely when we collect from the third party that experienced the hack, he said. But Purcell also offered his perspective on the breakdown. And actually, there's more information from this article, so I want to go through this one. Let me jump down to... And this is from Decrypt now, and their article is titled, Fortress CEO Responds to Ripple Backing Out of Acquisition. And so here we go. I'll start here. In early July, Fortress CEO Scott Purcell was bullish on the deal, saying Ripple was by far the best partner for us and our customers. However, an internal disagreement over business priorities for Ripple caused it to hold off on acquiring Purcell's firm. They are really focused on pure B2B and institutional global business, Purcell told Decrypt on Thursday. We were a way for them to diversify into B2B2C, which of course is business to business to consumer. Many on their team were super excited about our tech and customer base, but others pushed back to stay the current course, he explained. Purcell clarified that Fortress was aware of Ripple's change of heart prior to the announcement and that both companies maintain a strong relationship with future plans together, just not merging. No customers are affected. This has nothing to do with our customers, he added. So, again, it doesn't fully paint the picture, and we're just not going to be privy to that in all likelihood ever. But in a nutshell, just broadly speaking here, it's very clear that there are some at Ripple who just said, hey, there's this is not going to be a proper fit. Look at what we're doing. We, obviously Internet of Value, connecting with financial institutions around the planet. XRP is a bridge currency. Look at everything else that they're doing. Look at all their other products, liquidity hubs, so on and so forth. And for some reason, specifically, the mix of what Fortress had to offer with Ripple's strategy, it was decided that it's just not enough of a fit. So that's all we know to this point. But frankly, that's more than we got from Brad Garlinghouse. And that's fine. They don't owe us an explanation. But, I mean, I don't blame any of us for being curious about what's going on, obviously. And then there was also this from the Crypto Basic. XRP ledger-based app Spend the Bits wins Ripple central bank digital currency innovate competition back to back. And really this article highlights a post from my fellow expert YouTuber Crypto Eddie, so I don't really need to read the whole article. I just wanted to at least mention this because I think this is cool as hell. I'm a big fan of Spend the Bits because, as all of you know, Bitcoin is inferior technology to XRP and the XRP ledger when it comes to payments. And this is coming from me, like I'm pro Bitcoin. I've been holding it for almost 6 years, but I'm also a realist and I'm not going to sugarcoat things. Bitcoin has terrible layer 1 technology comparatively. It just does. But I'm fond of it because it's what got this whole party started. The crypto wouldn't be here but for Bitcoin being invented in the first place. So happy for that, but I'm not going to pretend like it's God's gift to the earth when it's the worst cryptocurrency, technologically speaking, that exists. It just is. But so since it's not technologically sufficient to engage in payments, but people still want it, there's actual demand, whether you like it or I like it. And I do like, I'm pro this. It doesn't matter whether we think it's good or it doesn't matter whether we like it. It doesn't matter what we think. The fact is, it is. So the best thing to do is slap a Band-Aid on that bitch, layer 2 technology, and make it actually work. Now, the Bitcoin maximalists, they've been trying to make this happen with Lightning Network. And technically, you can have some Lightning transactions actually function, but they're very limited and there are great risks. It's not the best way to proceed, frankly. And this is the neat thing. The problem that the Lightning Network people are trying to solve, it's already been solved. They don't need to keep going that route. It's been solved by Spend the Bits. using the XRP ledger, which is layer 1 technology, but you can slap it on top of Bitcoin's layer 1, and then it behaves as though it were a layer 2. You can treat it as though it were, even though it is a layer 1 technology, because it's helping Bitcoin on a separate layer. That's what it's doing. And you tokenize Bitcoin, and you can literally send it just as fast as XRP. It's incredible, and it actually works, and it requires real Bitcoin to be, this also be backed by actual Bitcoin. So that's really good for Bitcoin. The Bitcoin Maximus, if they weren't such hating pieces of you know what, they would love this. This would be lauded the world over, but it's not, is it? It's not. This is good for them, but they don't want it. They absolutely don't want it. They'd rather just keep hoping that Lightning Network magically works sufficiently one day. And I would like that too, actually. That would be great. Because I am pro-Bitcoin. I'm just a realist. I would love for that to happen, for Lightning Network to not have all these hiccups, and to have sufficient liquidity in the payment channels, all that jazz. But it doesn't. And so right now we have an actual solution with the XRP ledger, which, by the way, requires XRP. And so if this gets broadly adopted, that helps ensure the long-term viability of Bitcoin, because it can be used as actual money then, and it ensures the long-term viability of XRP and the XRP ledger, because that's what makes it possible. And again, XRP is literally required for this to work. To me, that is fantastic. It goes together like spaghetti and meatball, you know? It's what it is. And so here's what Crypto Eddie wrote. Today, Spin the Bits has back-to-back wins. They presented a retail solution for regional banks and money service businesses for Ripple Central Bank Digital Currency Innovate competition. The portal is tailor-made for regional banks and money service businesses to easily send cross-border payments, manage corresponding ledgers, and more. Fascinating. So I'm going to keep tracking this. I just, given that it actually works and it's not some sort of science experiment, like we know it works. It absolutely, unquestionably works. I'm going to continue to track the progress of this. I don't know. I honestly, I don't know why this wouldn't work. Why wouldn't this be broadly adopted as time passes? I mean, other than obviously you're not going to get a bunch of, attention from the maximalists. Like, think about all the maximalists that have massive follower counts on social media. I think that most of them probably aren't going to want to talk about it. So I guess it's up to us to help spread the word. So that stuff like that can slow it down. But like, the thing is, you can only slow it down so much, because if it works, like, people are going to figure this out and they're going to use it. It's an actual solution. Today, literally today, it works. And almost nobody in crypto even knows about this. I know about it. You listening, you know about this, but almost nobody does. And don't you think that markets are going to catch up and figure this out? And then isn't that going to be reflected in the future price of XRP? Wouldn't you think? Because for me, like, when I look at investing in a cryptocurrency, I want to know about the health of the entirety of the ecosystem. How many developers are building on top of a blockchain? What are they doing? And so here's one more developer building on top of the XRP ledger blockchain, and it just works. Like, yes, all of this is a factor for me. It's more exciting than some people give it credit for, frankly. So I hope that there's nothing that I'm unaware of that would cause it to fall apart, and I'm sure that founder Jay Campbell, I'm sure that he feels the same. But I'm nothing but optimistic. And then there's this. Oh my God. Scam Bankman Fraud, SBF. Scam Bankman Fraud. Here you have from Cointelegraph, judge denies final pretrial request from Sam Bankman-Fried for temporary release. Yes, that somebody needs to let them know that they need to issue a correction. It's not Sam Bankman-Fried, it's Scam Bankman Fraud. Former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried, I'll just read it how they wrote it. I know it's wrong. It's crypto media. I know they get stuff wrong. A bunch of C students. Will remain in jail at least until the start of his October 3rd criminal trial following an order from a federal judge. In a September 28th hearing in the United States District Court for the Southern District of New York, Judge Lewis Kaplan denied a motion from SBF's legal team requesting the former FTX CEO be given temporary release in order to prepare for his trial. Bankman-Fried's lawyers had made repeated attempts to argue for release since Kaplan revoked his bail on August 11th due to allegations of witness intimidation. The matter twice went to an appellate court without success for SBF's team. Kaplan reportedly suggested that SBF might be a flight risk if things begin to look bleak at trial, considering his age and potential prison time. Though the judge denied SBF an early release, He added that the former FTX CEO will have the opportunity to arrive at court early on certain days to confer with his legal team. The final preparations for Bankman-Fried's trial are underway as many in and out of the crypto space await revelations related to alleged fraud at FTX, as well as in the testimony of former Alameda Research CEO Caroline Ellison. Now, let me just pause to ask, can you imagine this? Can you imagine this? It's good the judge did what he did. So not out on bail anymore, all right? And I reported on that when it happened, but can you imagine if he were out on bail and then the trial starts and then he actually does make a run for it? Could you imagine that? And I gotta wonder, like, when you're someone like that who is so easily identifiable, how long would he stay hidden? Like, what's he gonna do? Just get like a fake beard and wear sunglasses and a hat all over the planet? Like, what's going on? So So I'm glad we're not going to have to deal with that, although I wouldn't put it past him at this point. This is an awful human, and I hope that he ends up behind bars for a minimum of decades. And I know that there are a lot of people that are not optimistic that justice shall be done. I'm pretty optimistic. And especially, honestly, at this point, even not being privy to all the stuff that, was made known to both parties during the discovery process, even just what's publicly known, it is so damning. So technically fine, innocent until proven guilty, but he guilty, rat. I mean, come on. Is anybody actually disputing this? I'm just being for real here. And then the piece says, on September 27th, Judge Kaplan granted some housekeeping motions allowing SBF to wear a suit at trial in addition to using an air-gapped laptop in the courtroom for taking notes. The October 3rd trial will be the first of two for Bankman-Fried. He will face 7 charges related to the misuse of customer funds in October and 5 additional charges at a second trial scheduled for March 2024. SBF has pleaded not guilty to all counts. Okay. Well, good luck, you little bitch, because you have ruined people's lives and you deserve to go to jail. And you're not jail, prison. You're going to prison. And I think he's going to be put away for a very long time. I think that's what's most probable. And I know that no justice system is perfect. I said this all the time throughout the SEC v. Ripple case, and it's true, no justice system is perfect. But I told you that in the United States, at least, justice, generally speaking, is done. And then we can, quibble over whether or not there's a sufficient sentence, this or that. But in terms of whether or not somebody is found to be guilty if they're guilty, typically justice is done. And if that weren't the case, I think we'd be in complete and utter chaos in this country. So it's not that of course there's injustices from time to time. I'm not naive about this. I'm not a child. I'm just saying that in all probability, what should be done shall be done. That's what's most likely here. And when it comes to the actual concept, I mean, he's looking at decades behind bar. If he doesn't get that, I would be very disappointed, and that's possible. So I'll just say this. At a minimum, I'm predicting, he's going to be found guilty. And then as far as the sentence, I mean, if he's not behind bars for at least decades, I personally would be disappointed, and I would voice that disappointment. But at least it would be directionally the right way. Because nobody's going to have... there's some people that'll say that he should be behind bars for life, and maybe he should. And you might find somebody on the more lenient side that says a couple decades. Well, okay. And that's a big gap, so we're not exactly splitting hairs here. But either way, the point is, the justice system is doing something that is directionally correct, and I'm not going to cry over it as long as that happens. Because again, I've read the stories about the people whose lives were ruined. There is one guy over in the UK, I was recently reading the story, I didn't cover it on the channel, but he lost I want to say it might have been a little over $2 million on FTX. That's just devastating. That was, and you can say, of course, you shouldn't. I don't like the victim blaming stuff. But some people are like, well, you shouldn't have had it that much on FTX or keep it on exchange. I'm just like, fine, but quit blaming the guy. Blame the bad guy. Blame SBF. This little idiot here, this cucumber loving son of a bitch. Blame him. He's the bad guy. You should be able to have, I mean, not that I'd never do this because I'd be afraid of something going horrifically wrong, but you should be able to trust that when you have your funds on a platform, that somebody's not going to steal them, that won't be part of a Ponzi scheme. Just saying. It's not like this was some sort of hack, and that's what I primarily worry about is a hack and then not getting my funds back. This is a Ponzi scheme. Most exchanges are not Ponzi schemes. Anyway, those are just some of my general thoughts. You guys can tell me what you think below. I'll stop yammering on here. I'm optimistic, so it's going to be interesting though, because again, this starts next week, and I can't remember how long the thing's going to go. But I think I read somewhere a while back that it might go on for like several weeks or so. I could be off though, but we'll have an answer on what happens to this little prick soon enough. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.